Come join me as I make a new set of ear cuffs like this one. It's simply used with copper and some beads. You'll need some tools, a model for the ear wire. You'll need a cutting tool and a plier. And this 3-in-1 will work okay. And then you can use 18 gauge copper. And I have here 10 inches of 2 pieces. And you'll need a hammering block and a hammer to strengthen the areas that will be behind the ear. To start, make sure that the end has a clean cut, and then you're going to go ahead and curl it with your plier. And I kind of like to have a curl that continues a little bit more to protect the cut edge. So I get this kind of effect. And since you have 2 ear wires, we're going to want to make them match. So I'm going to put you on hold while I make the second. So you'll end up with 2 curled ends like this. They don't have to be exactly the same, but close enough. So your next step will be to shape this around the ear mold shape, and I'm going to set that up for you. So this particular set of ear cuffs has a curl that will go in towards the center of the ear here, and you just hold on to it. You're going to curl it in more later. For now, we're just making the shape, and you're going to pull it behind your ear model and then curl it inwards like this. And you want to make sure it's good and tight against the back of your ear model so that you have the right shape. And eventually you're going to move this piece up into here. I like to use my pliers to gently shape the direction of where it's going to go. And then the last piece, you're going to determine where you want to cut this end off, and you're going to create another curl that goes inward up here, and you'll have time to shape that as you need to. So we're probably going to cut off about this much, and I'll be right back. So go ahead and create a second one with the left ear or right ear mold, whichever the opposite is of what you used, and you'll get 2 shapes like this. You don't have to curl the end yet, but so far this is where we're at, and the next step is going to be to hammer the shape from here down to here. So the back of what touches the back of the ear, we want it a little bit stronger, so you're going to hammer it until it's stiff, but don't over hammer it because that can make it more fragile for breaking. And I'm going to do that off camera for both of these. So now we have these fancy letter looking things, but you can see that it's been hammered here. It's just a little bit stronger on the back side. And now if you want, you can go ahead and take your round nose pliers and finish curling inwards on the end. So you can get something like this. Your loop might look different. You might want it closer to the edge or leave it a little open. It's completely up to you. You just want to try and parallel the other side now. Do that to both. Now you're going to do some of the fun part, putting some of the beads on. And you can use round beads or smaller ones. For this particular style of ear cuff, I do like this. I think they're like 6 to 8 millimeter beads. I wouldn't go any larger. If you go smaller, you're just going to have more. And I typically find that 3 sitting up here on the top is comfortable. And then you can have 4 or 5 depending on the length of your bottom part of the ear cuff. And you're going to use a 26 gauge wire. I have just a piece of scrap wire that I have from another project. It's about 20 inches long. And we are just going to go ahead and wrap it around below the swirls. And what you'll want to do is determine how many wraps in between each bead, and you will be able to move them around to get them towards the front. In this particular one, I've got 5 wraps in between each bead. That seems to hold it pretty well. And when you cut it off, you're going to find the end and just squish it down. So go ahead and start working on that, and I will meet you after the first part on the half of the ear cuff is done on the top. All right, I'm back to show you how to place it, or where to place it. I like it below the curl, and then you're going to add your first bead here on your wire. And this size bead, I kind of like to shape the wire, just kind of round it a little bit. If you can see what I'm doing here, see how I've kind of rounded it with my finger. I just went in this way. And then as you do that, get it close to the frame, and you're going to get it as tight as you can, and then do another 5 wraps. If you wrap fairly quickly, you'll see that they're spaced far apart. So you can take your flat nose pliers and just kind of squeeze them together and just neaten them up. It makes for a nicer finish on your project. All right, and then you're going to bead the next bead. I guess I should say string the next bead. And do the same thing. Make this kind of little indentation and get it as tight as you can to the framing wire, and do your 5 wraps. All right, so I've got 3 of them on there now. That's all we do for the top part. So what we need to do is trim off the front and back ends of the wire, and I like to bring them up in towards the center. And so you're going to take a clean cut and snip it off, and then turn to the other section, and it's also being wrapped towards the inside, so just make sure you get a good clean cut there. And then you're going to squish, I'm going to have you squish that little wire end down so that it is away from the skin. And you can file it if you want before you do the smushy part, and that makes it a better overall product when you're finished. And you can move them, see how it goes up and down. But the main thing is you want them to be on the right side. So, and here we're going to put it on the model so that you can see what it looks like from the top. These silicone models are just a joy to work with. Here you go. All right, so you're going to be able to finish it off later by when you've got the bottom part beaded, you'll curve it in. But that's kind of how you do it. And so you're going to finish the bottom with the same. You can use 4 or 5 beads, whichever you prefer. I've got 4 sitting here, and it'll cover up to about there. The green ones that I did earlier with aventurine, they have small and large, so you can see the difference that it makes with the size of the beads. But have fun, make sure that you do the same on both sides, and I'll be back with the finished product. And here is the finished product with the front and the top and the bottom being done. So the secret to getting this to curve is to use your tools. I like, again, to use the flat nose and you can curve it in as much as you want. And then once it's on the person, you would use your fingers to help them fit it if you're working with them in person. But that's the average size. I found that this is the average size of ear. And so using these little silicone ear display models work. Enjoy. Have fun making